Hey guys, this video is going to be a little bit different than previous videos because I've had quite a lot of questions come into me via email and also via the website, and a few questions here on the YouTube channel itself from people who obviously want my advice on particular subjects and particular topics. So rather than just respond to those people directly, I thought I would respond in a video like this, and then that way other people with similar questions can also benefit, hopefully. So I'll answer the questions first, and then we'll recap at the end, and I'll give you some information about how you can submit your own question. So the first question comes from Mark, who's 46, and he asks how hard he should actually be rolling at his age. I don't think it's age dependent, Mark. I think everyone should be rolling in training, you know, in class at 50%, 60%, no more than that. This is something that my coach has always imparted upon me, you know, for years and years, and this is something that I try to pass on to students in my classes as well. Sometimes it's difficult, I know that, you know, especially if it's two beginners rolling. It's easy for those rolls to, you know, go all out. Even when you are more advanced, more senior, it's easy to get caught up in that sometimes, whether that's for fear of getting injured or whether it's, you know, ego. Sometimes, whatever it is, sometimes you can get caught up in that. The other person might go a little bit harder, and then you go a little bit harder, and before you know it, you're at that 100% roll that you promised yourself that you wouldn't do. But hopefully that they are few and far between, but we've all been caught up in them. We probably all will continue to get caught up in those rolls, but we need to try and keep it at 50% if we can. Obviously, if you've got a competition coming up, then you might want to roll a little bit harder, you know, 80%, 90%, but I wouldn't go all out. I definitely wouldn't go all out in competition, certainly not in your first match anyway, because, you know, if you've got a few matches, then, you know, by the time you get to your second or third match, you're going to be done anyway. So try and keep something in reserve, but, you know, never try and push everything to 100%. It's probably, you know, causes far more damage than it does good. Paul, 52, asks whether it's normal to feel more tired now than when he first started training. I don't know how long you've been training, Paul, but obviously you're 52, so that's going to have an impact anyway, being older. You know, as we get older, biology just makes us slow down. You know, things don't work as well as they used to. Our oxygen intake is probably not as good. Our recovery is definitely not as good. So it is going to feel harder. We're going to struggle to train as often or as frequently as we wanted to. Lifestyle, you know, obviously when we're older, we've got probably more responsibility than people who are 20. You know, family, work, job, whatever it is, you know, work and job, same thing. But do you know what I mean? There's a lot of things in our lives that will cause us to have more stress and more and be more tired. You know, it might be something as simple as pets. You know, I've got 2 dogs at home, and last night they were just up and down all night long, keeping us awake. So my sleep last night was terrible, which meant when I trained today, that was also terrible. So yeah, I think it's quite normal to feel more tired the longer you're in the game, and especially as you're getting older. Chris, 39, asks if he should be avoiding rolling with younger or bigger training partners. I don't think you should be avoiding rolling with anyone unless that person is a bit of a dick when they roll and they you know, cause injury, or you fear that you might be injured by rolling with that person. You should try and roll with as many different people as you can, from, you know, all different ages and abilities and sizes and sexes. You want to be rolling with as many different people as you can, unless that person is somebody who is not safe to roll with. That's the only thing that would prevent me and should prevent you from rolling with that person. Nothing else should matter. You know, you could get injured by rolling with someone who's smaller, or you could get injured by rolling with somebody who is older. So it's not about, you know, age, size or anything like that. It's about, is that person safe to roll with? So roll with as many people as you can. That way you're going to get a better you know, a better all-rounded jiu-jitsu experience, I think. Dave, 48, asks whether always being sore means he's training wrong. It could mean you're training wrong, Dave. It could mean that you're training too much. It could mean you're training too hard. It could mean you're training too frequently. It could mean you're training with the wrong people. Or it could just be that your particular circumstances are not conducive to your training, and that's why you are feeling sore all the time. I used to think it was because I was older that I was feeling sore, but what I've come to realize is regardless of how old anybody is, they're always going to feel sore the day after jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu is a hard sport and wrestling's a hard sport. So if you do jiu-jitsu with takedowns and then you're rolling as well, you know, you're going to feel it the next day. So I don't think it's necessarily a result of you training wrong. It might just be a result of you training jiu-jitsu and being 48 and not having the same kind of resilience as you would at 28, or the same kind of recovery as you would at, you know, 18. You know, unfortunately, being older is going to come with more problems. So you need to focus more on good recovery strategies, getting good night's sleep, having a good diet, contrast therapy, foam rolling, massage, yoga. All those things will help with your recovery. Take some time in between training sessions. You know, don't go back to back day by day, because that's obviously going to build up as well. You know, and just look after yourself and be aware of what it might be that you're doing that could be causing you to feel sore, but also realize that getting older and the nature of jiu-jitsu is going to make you feel sore as well. Sarah 44 asks what she should focus on if she can't train as often as she used to. I guess it depends how often you can train, Sarah, but you know, if you can only do 1 day a week, obviously focus on what the instructor's giving you in the class. In your own time, you know, obviously reflect upon that, but also for me personally, I would be focusing on things that will be useful in a self-defense situation. You know, jiu-jitsu's got all different aspects. It's good for sport, it's good for competition, it's good for self-defense. I like to look at jiu-jitsu from the self-defense side of things, so I like to focus on things that would work in a self-defense situation, and that probably wouldn't be something like K-guard, you know, or any kind of inversion. I'd be looking more at, you know, having a simple body lock takedown, having a good top game, half guard top, side control top, mount, you know, being able to pin and control the opponent on the ground and keep them there. I wouldn't be focusing on too many submissions. You know, if you are smaller, if you're a smaller female and you're looking to leg lock, you know, someone who's 30 kilos heavier than you, or armbar someone who's 40 kilos heavier than you, then that might be a problem. But if you've got a good back attack and a good rear naked choke, then that's not going to be a problem for you. You know, most people are not going to be able to get out of that once you've got it sunk in. Look for a front headlock attack, good strangles from the front. Just solid fundamentals, good base, good posture, good pressure. All those things I think are far more important than collecting as many techniques as you can. So that's what I would be focusing on. Obviously, I don't know why you train and what, you know, what your goals are, but that's where I will be focusing things. Mike 50 asks how he can stop feeling like he's falling behind everyone else. I wouldn't even worry about that, Mike. As my coach Carl used to say to us, you are exactly where you need to be right now. So, you know, if you join the club and 2 other people joined at the same time and they've now got promoted to, you know, 1 stripe or 2 stripes or 3 stripes or a blue belt, whatever, and you haven't, that's no big deal. You are where you need to be. Your time will come. You just focus on where you are right now. Are you better today than you were yesterday? More than likely. Will you be better tomorrow than you are today? More than likely. Just keep showing up, practicing, learning, absorbing, and you will get better, and you will get that promotion when you should get that promotion. You know, 2 years down the line, you might be a purple belt, and the guys who got promoted to blue belt before you might you know, still be a blue belt, because, you know, things change. But it doesn't matter. You know, there's all sorts of reasons why people will progress at a faster rate. It might be that they just absorb information quicker. It might be that they can train more. You know, it might be that they're just natural at jiu-jitsu, or, you know, picking up movements. It might be that you've got a more hectic lifestyle. Whatever it is, you know, there's all sorts of reasons, but what they're doing and how they're progressing is none of your business. You just focus on where you are and what you should be doing to get to that next step, and it will come. And finally, this is one that it always makes me laugh, and I've had this. I don't know why I've had this question 3 times from 3 different people. Could you beat Tom Hardy in a fight? Who cares if I could beat Tom Hardy? I don't know, but you know, Tom Hardy's legit. He's a brown belt. He just got his brown belt this week, and he's a legit brown belt. He's not like some of these other celebrities who are just kind of gifted belts because they've got a lot of money or whatever, or it's good for the schools or the instructors to see that they're promoting these people. I won't mention any names, but you know, Tom Hardy is legit. He trains hard. He's trained for a long time. He gets involved. He doesn't, you know, shy away from classes or mixing with, you know, other people within the gym. You know, he's not just all about the celebrity hangouts and all that. You know, he's legit. I've seen him competing at blue belt, badass. I've seen him competing at purple belt. He's winning medals, gi, no gi. He's a big unit as well, you know. Well, I say he's a big unit. He looks like a big unit, but then the screen can add pounds, can't it? But I think he's a big guy. He's certainly bigger than me. He's taller than me, probably heavier than me. He's younger than me, so he'd probably kick my ass, to be honest with you, if we had a fight to the death. But I don't care anyway, you know, who can beat who, unless it is a fight to the death, because I've got to defend myself or my family. Other than that, if it's just a roll in the gym, you know, it would be an absolute pleasure, an honour to roll with Tom Hardy. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a brilliant actor, and I think he's in jiu-jitsu for the right reasons. I don't think he's got an ego. I think he loves the game. He loves learning. He loves studying. He loves all of the art of jiu-jitsu, everything about it. He's humble. He helps people out. You know, he's an ambassador, I think, for like the Reorg organization and things like that. You know, he's just an all-round good guy and a great guy to have as a representative and promoter of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I wouldn't want to be able to kick his ass, and I wouldn't want to, you know, have my ass kicked by him, but it would be an absolute honor and pleasure to roll with him, regardless of the result. But like I said, the only time you should really worry about who you can beat is if it's someone knocking down your door trying to threaten you or your family. Other than that, then who cares? It doesn't matter who wins in the gym. It doesn't matter who wins in competition. You know, I've said this a couple of times, and people think that I'm not bothered about winning competitions. Of course I am. I want to go out and do my best and win and try and get a gold medal or any medal. But if I don't, so what? It's no big deal. It's not, you know, the end of the world. I'm not going to go home and cry about it. I'll just be glad of the experience and be glad that I'm still able to do those things. So it's irrelevant. Winning is irrelevant unless it's a necessity and it's your life that's at stake or your family's life that's at stake. Other than that, who cares? But yeah, Tom, anytime you want to come down, I'd be happy to roll with you, man. So that's it, guys. That's all the questions I've got for this video. If you've got your own question, there's a link down below in the description. You can click that, go submit your question on the channel. I will try and chop these videos up into little questions, individual videos themselves, and I'll put them on the website, and then that way we can build up a little database or a resource of frequently asked questions that you guys can search. You know, if you've got the same question, you might find the information in one of the previous videos. But, you know, if not, ask your own question, and even if you do, go ahead and ask it anyway. There's no harm in me repeating and reiterating and re-emphasizing any of the points that we talked about today. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you again in the next video.